first of all, I am not going to speak on individual players, evaluating players. I'm not speaking on that. So you have team-related stuff, I'll answer those questions. The most important thing I would like to say is I want to thank the community as far as just the incredible support that we've had here during the playoff run, and quite honestly, during the regular season, we're going up and down. I just can't thank the community enough as far as what it did for our hockey club, what that building was like, and I don't know how else to put it except to say thank you. And I know it's a bit of a letdown that we're not playing here today. I do think Game 6 was our best game of the series, and I wish we could be out there again with the group of with our community here. But hopefully we'll keep on building and have more nights like that. But it's just so much appreciated. I speak for my players, I speak for the organization, and more important, I speak for myself that it was just incredible. So thank you.
To that point, John, did you notice as the team left the ice, as it got to 3-0 the other night, the way they responded to you guys?
You know what? I'm under a rock at that time. I'm not. Yeah, that's a hard time for me, knowing that we're done. I didn't see anything after the game, but I know they were there, still trying to push us along, even though they know the game's over. So that it's just so much appreciated.
John, you talked about after that first round and everything, the people coming to your house and things like that. I mean, you guys got a glimpse of what this can be like around here if you go even further in future years, didn't you?
Yeah, it is. We certainly. I'm not going to be a fool. We took a step in the right direction. I hope we can see how difficult it is to keep on going, but there are so many good things going on in our room now, and in talking to Yarmo and the management group, so many really good pieces coming here. It's an exciting time for us. So, just sit there, hold a little bit, let us get back to work here, and we all know how difficult it is to get in. But we're going to keep on trying to go about it the right way.
John, to that point, do you have a process you go through to digest a season, a look back, a post-mortem, if you will?
Yeah, and it's real early for me. You know what it is? It's like the world spinning around and spinning around, and then it stops. It is. Listen, I can use the word difficult. There are many people going through a lot more difficult things that I'm going through here today. But within a team concept, within a team sport, it's a difficult thing for me, because I do think I love the way our team played Game 6. I'm not sure. I certainly can't make any promises of Game 7, but I thought it was a series that deserved to go 7 games. I do think Rask just got better and better. I thought he was the main difference as the series went on.
Will you ever go back and look at the season as a whole, and are there lessons you want to take from it? Maybe not right now, but is that something you do in the offseason?
Yeah, not right now. I'm just trying to swallow what we just went through and just try to get my bearings. But yeah, I as I said to you guys, it's one of the most interesting years I've had with a group of men and all the things swirling around this club right from day one, and then watch them band together through a lot of different things. So, I keep a running diary as far as some of the things that we went through, how we attacked it, did it work, did it not work. That's always what a coach is doing as you prepare, as you continue to try to go and progressing with the team.
Do the whys behind the up and downs matter, or is it more, to your point, the notes of how you address them and how the solutions worked?
No, there's always whys. I think if there's no whys, you're not going to improve as a coach. You're not going to improve as a player or as an organization to ask the questions why. So there's a number of different things, at least the way that I go through, and then I just write things down, and I think your game plan kind of it changes. The game's ever changing, and I think you need to change with it, especially the way that how athletes are.
Torts, are you banged up at this time of the year here? But without being specific, how much did injuries play into what you were able to do and not able to do as a team throughout the winter?
No, injuries had nothing to do with it. We had 3 defensemen out, but that just gives you a look into seeing some of the depth we have in our back end that came through. And Clendenning stepped in. Kooks, Harry assumed more responsibility. Remember, I wasn't even playing Kooks at certain times this year. So, no, the injuries, all teams go through it. All the injuries, no. That had no bearing on it.
Are you anxious to get to July 1 just to see what shakes out and what kind of team? At least you'll know more about next year.
No, I'm not even thinking of July 1. I'm sure coaching staff, managers will have conversations regarding what our team is, but no. And I echo with what Yarmo said, I think to you guys after the game.
Yeah.
You want to be a Blue Jacket, be a Blue Jacket. I think the in-between stuff, it happens. It's part of the game. Players in between, lengths of contracts, stuff like that. I'm not begrudging anybody, but we're trying to put a stamp on what this place is, what this organization is, how we run our business here. I think our community put a stamp on it, not just for us, but really for the hockey world. I've received so many different texts from a lot of people, different people in organizations about what our building looked like in this type of situation. So I think the people should be proud of themselves. And so July 1st is July 1st. When that comes, that's part of our business. We'll go about it.
John, how do you quantify the playoff experience that this team got, this organization got, winning a series, playing 10 games in the postseason? How do you quantify that?
Yeah, you have to be really careful. I don't want to put it in a bad vein. I think a lot of good things happened within the few weeks that we played. Found out about a lot of different people. Found out about a lot of people in a really good way. Found out about people in a way that we were surprised as far as how they reacted. That's how you have to go about it. You have to be honest about your assessment when you get into these type of situations. I know we went further than we have before, but I say that's great. It's better than not doing it. It's better, but I still emphasize there is still so much more we can see now. We can see how much more work is to be done to continue to go. So you take the good, some really good stuff. We have some question marks on other stuff we see with our players, but also feel very comfortable that we want to keep on trying to ride and go further, and because there's a lot more to go.
What's the 2 years ago you came in here and talked about good being the enemy of great, and you're big on effort and the mental part of the game. So what should be the biggest takeaway for these guys after going a little bit farther this year, going into this summer?
Yeah, and the operative word, again, I say it we went a little farther. Beating Tampa, I'm sure that's a good thing, and I think that's what kind of put us in a situation in where a belief is a very strong thing. It's a very strong thing as far as the mind's concerned, and I think our players experience that banding together and believing help them go further. The mental toughness of our team, I think, grew. I don't think we're afraid of things. I thought we were a little nervous beginning of Game 6 for our first couple of shifts, but then we were on our toes the rest of the night. That's a huge step as we're playing in an elimination game, because that's a different feeling in an elimination game. I hope the core of the team understands that it's not always about physical skills. It's not always looking down the lineup and saying they have this, that, the other guy, and they have more talent. That belief is a very important part of winning, and I think we experienced some of that.
John, in retrospect, Game 4, as you look back on Game 4, was that kind of where the series might have turned?
Game 4, is that when we took the penalties?
Yeah.
Well, I think Game 4, I'll put it to you this way. I thought a very important part of beating Boston was to control their top line. We 4 out of 6 games, I thought we did that. Game 4 was when we stepped off. We allowed them to score a couple power play goals. They started feeling it. I think that spilled over into the next game, into Game 5. Game 6, I thought we did such a good job against them. I think all three of them, they had 3 shots, 1 shot apiece in Game 6. I think we had 21 chances. They had 10 or 11. We did all the right things in Game 6, neutralized them. Their depth showed a little bit, and Krejci scores and makes plays, but I think the difference was Rask. He got better and better, and 5 posts, pucks hitting him. That's the difference in Game 6 for me, and quite honestly, the series. But we allowed their big guys to get going in Game 4, where we lost our discipline. But those are 2 things that we can take out of the series in playing against a seasoned Boston team, is the discipline and just the patience. We turn a couple of pucks over. We could have won Game 1. I don't think we really deserved it, but I think teams went through the series not deserving to win certain games. When you start getting down into the numbers of the series, I think we lost a little bit of our patience, and that's where Boston is so strong, is just staying with it.
The things that happened in the locker room this year, was there a growth in it, taking ownership that can spill over into future seasons as well, with some of the way that these guys grew from like a leadership standpoint?
I hope so. As I said, it's a lot of things went on, and I think it was a very honest locker room. It's one of the most honest locker rooms I've been around as far as some of the things we had to talk about. And I don't think you can do nothing but grow from it.
John, when the players come in for these meetings and they're getting ready to go out for the summer, just generally speaking, what's the message you try to convey to your players as they get ready to go out?
I don't speak to them. I don't hold exit interviews. No, I don't. Yarmo's holding exit interviews. If players want to talk to me, they'll talk to me. I prefer to do it. It's a little bit different for me. Yarmo has other things that he needs to go over with them. I've been talking with them, talking at them for a number of months. They don't need to hear me right now, so I usually wait a couple of weeks and we'll talk on the phone, or if I'm in town, or go see him somewhere. Yeah, so I don't. I leave them alone. I've talked to a couple just because I'm here today, just to say goodbye and talk about a couple of things, but that'll be in a more casual type setting for me. It's a little bit different with managers talking to players, because there's a number of things they need to talk about that really I don't need to talk to them about.
John, JD was saying after the game that part of what makes this painful, other than just losing, was the opportunity that was there. Because I know you focused only on single games, but other teams had gotten knocked out. This was kind of the year of the underdog. You guys were one of them, and his point was Boston's got a great chance to win this. And
yeah,
if you could have got that one more step.
Yeah, you know what? I look at it a little bit differently. I do, and I heard it. I mean, it kind of fueled me through it all that no one really talked about Columbus. We were the team that just opened up the door for everybody else when we beat Tampa. No one talked about us before we entered that series, and when we won that series, it wasn't what we did; it's what we did for the league. So I look at it this way. I think the teams that are in it still deserve to be here. They have played that well. So I am not going to say that it's wide open because Tampa's out, Nashville's out, Pitt's out, whatever. It's unfair to the teams that are in it. And hockey's a funny game. There's a fine line of winning and losing. The teams that are still standing deserve to be there, and they're going to be formidable as teams try to come through their city.
We look forward. We don't know what's obviously going to happen this summer, but you have talked a number of times about Yarmo's ability to assess talent and bring talent in here. I mean, is this a time where you just basically, as the coach of this team, you got to put your faith in this hockey ops department that they're gonna give you a team that you're gonna be ready to roll forward with?
Yeah, the organization has done a terrific job as far as the drafting and some of the young kids in the organization. Our Cleveland team gets in this year, and so that's the lifeline of a National Hockey League club, is all the things, all the grinding that the organization does. I have full faith And Yarmo talks to me. I trust his opinion, but he trusts the other people under him, too, that are doing a lot of this legwork, looking at these kids night in and night out in these barns that they're playing in. So, yeah, the organization is in really good hands as far as just keep on feeding, because it's an ever, as we're going to see here, I think, as people leave, it's an ever fluent situation as far as young kids coming to your team. So I have full trust in, I've told you in Yarmo, absolutely, but the key is Yarmo trusts his group that are doing a lot of that legwork.
John, you've worked obviously with a lot of GMs in the league. How is maybe Yarmo either different, or how is your relationship maybe different with this guy than maybe other guys? I know that each one's individual, but assess your relationship with him, because we keep hearing that you guys work very well together.
Yeah, we do. I think, and I'm not going to compare it to other GMs. The way Yarmo and I work are straight up, face to face. I think sometimes when there's situations and you don't really feel comfortable in saying some things, or your thoughts about a guy or thoughts about that situation, sometimes it slips to another guy, and that other guy gives it to the person that you're really supposed to be talking to. Happens a lot, not just in hockey, but in business, period. It doesn't happen that way with Yarmo. It doesn't happen that way with me to Yarmo, Yarmo to me. And are the days always us rosy around the building here? No, but the days are always honest. And I think that's, as we keep on going through, I think that is what's helped our relationship. I still don't agree with some of the things he says and what he feels, and he feels the same way about me as we start today. But I can trust that he's going to say it to me. And I think he trusts I'm going to say it to him. I think that's very important, especially in this business where it can get all muddied with too many people involved in between the two people that should be talking.
John, you said if you want to be a Blue Jacket, be a Blue Jacket. In your mind, what does it mean to be a Blue Jacket?
Oh, I don't know, Lori. What I'm saying there is I just think when you're in an organization, you don't want to have one strand of that rope that you're pulling. You want to grab it by the knot and pull. We need people with that type of mindset. And this all, I don't think this is on to Brad and Bob.
No, I didn't.
No, and I know, but it's an easy thing to correlate to that. It's part of the business. Players with their contracts expiring and they have a chance to be a free agent, that is their right. That is part of the business. I just think if we want to keep taking steps, and you can see how difficult it is to keep on taking more steps, that has to be there. And you talk about believing when you're playing. You got to believe in the organization. It's got to be you if you want to take these next steps that I think we need to have.
John Bradshaw's name came up in the conversation for Ottawa's coach. What have you seen from him as far as his ability to teach and lead?
You know what, with Shawzy, that is a really, he'd be a really good candidate for that job, because I think some teaching needs to be done. And again, I don't want to overstep my bounds in speaking to the organization, but I believe it's a rebuild. They got some kids there, and as I've said, I think Bradshaw has one of the smartest hockey minds that I've been around, and I think that's very important as you try to put a new foundation under an organization. Very good at teaching. Handle themselves very well. He's patient. There's a lot of good qualities about him to become a head coach. I'm very fortunate to have two of them, and him and Brad Larson. And I've heard that too. I'm not sure if anything came out today or anything like that, but I've heard that along the way. I'd love to talk to someone there if they wanted to talk to me, and I'd give them as much information as I could.
John, players speak of taking a little time off before they get ready for next season. When do you dive into what you want to accomplish next year?
Well, I think as coaches, it's always, we have development camps, we have a draft that we're not totally involved with, but we give information and conversations with Yarmo as far as what we think our needs are. So you're constantly talking about hockey. We'll have the kids come in after the draft. You got Traverse City, so it's turned into more although I think it always was a full-time job for a coach, but you're needed in certain spots more than just having the summer to be thinking about somewhere else because all these camps have come into play to look at these kids. So it doesn't totally shut off. But like I said, it's not difficult. It's not like it's 12 months out of the year. The way this has gone this year, like today for me, it's really weird, and it's weird for me every year this year when things stop as far as the day-to-day stuff you have to have during the regular season and during playoffs. So yeah, we'll digest this, try to get through it, and then you're always preparing for the next year.
This isn't a performance question, but Riley implied that he and you were great exchangers of text messages?
Riley
Nash.
Nash. Text messages?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the hell he's talking about.
Okay. He was saying a lot of his feedback came through text message, and that just didn't sound like a John Tortorella thing to do.
Well, there are times, I don't think so. I'm not sure. No. Unless I'm out of my mind. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine you sending a text message.
Yeah, well, I have sometimes when I can't get to him and stuff like that, but not to the point where that kind of caught me off guard. Yeah. Maybe he's out of his mind.
It's always possible.
How close you guys really were this
Well,
time?
yeah, I mean, I think knowing we took down a pretty serious threat in the first round, and then it was kind of wide open, and we looked at Boston being the next team. You kind of have to get by, and then who knows? It's anyone's ball game at that point. And I just think and more to that, I think we felt we were a really good team. Yeah. You know, we were a really good team, and that's what sucks most about this is that when you just feel like you had a really good team and you had a chance and you didn't get it done. And I think that's where it stings, and we just got to make sure we get ready.
You had 2 months, a little bit more than 2 months with Matt Duchene.
Mm-hmm.
Just your thoughts on what he brought here and what it would mean for this team if he resigned.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm hoping we can get him re-signed because I think you saw what he brought to this team with just his abilities on the ice. I think he's a great guy in the room. Guys really loved him. I think he brought an element to our locker room that really helped us. But then on the ice, I mean, that speaks for itself, just what he can do and how I think the thing with Matt or Dutchie, it's weird calling him Matt. The thing with Dutchie is that he wants that pressure. He wants the responsibility of being the go-to guy. And, I think he can back it up because he's such a student of the game, and he's, he's a guy that really wants it, and you want guys like that. And I think he really enjoyed his time here. I think he saw how good of an organization this is, how good of a team this is, and, so I think all the work it's just going to be his decision now, but, I think we did our part in making him realize how good a place it is.
And players, obviously, I assume, have a sense of when guys are truly wanting to be here and where guys maybe
lip service and
getting out of here.
Dutchie is definitely a guy that is got a tough decision to make. I think he really didn't know what to expect coming in here, and then really found himself falling in love with the city and this team. So I'm not going to put words in his mouth. Obviously, he's got a future to plan for his family, but I don't think there's anything he didn't like about this city and this team.
After we talked to you the other night, Yarmo was saying that anybody that's here, you want guys that want to be Blue Jackets. And I just wonder how that resonates with you and how that makes you feel to hear the boss say things like that.
Well, I think it's the mandate on this team. I think it's how I feel, and it's nice to know that that's how they feel. I mean, I think we knew that already, but he puts it out there to make guys realize, this is what it's going to take. You have to love the team you're on. You have to love the city you're playing in order to have success. And I think you saw that from our group. Just the embrace that we had with our fans in the city and what we were trying to do here. And I think when you have that many guys that care that much about your city or the team, no matter how good of a player they are, they'll give a little more, they'll give a little extra, and those are the people you want in your hockey club. And I think whether it's a free agent signing or a guy getting drafted, you want guys that want to be here and want to make a difference, and that's great to hear.
How much have you seen that grow the time that you've been in the Blue Jackets? I mean,
Absolutely. And that's I don't mean this disrespectfully, but, there was a time where this team was not looked at very highly. I think the credit to the management for, putting a foundation down, and then the players for following it and coming in here and trying to, build something here. I think that's I'm most proud of to this point. It's 7 years now We've been 3 years in the playoffs. We're building something here, and the job is not done. I think that's what I'm taking away from this. If you want to, I hate silver linings. I've learned that moral victories suck. But if anything, I'm excited about what's ahead now. We're building something here. Let's continue this. Let's make sure everyone, this feeling in our stomachs right now, let's use it to our advantage in the summer and come back and be the better team, a better version of ourselves next year. Whether who's here or not, it shouldn't matter. It should just keep rolling. We have a core group in place. So however it's going to work, that's on us as a core group and leaders, and to push this even further down the road, and not say, oh, it was a great team and then we'll see where things go. No, we have to find a way to get better than we did this year. And obviously it wasn't good enough this year. How good of a team we were, and we got to find a way, everybody, to individually get better, which will make our team better.
Nick, on that topic, 10 games of playoff experience, a first-round playoff win, what does that experience alone do for you guys coming into next year?
It's huge. I think anytime you can have success in the postseason, it just gives you more experience, more understanding of how hard it is and what you need to do to attain that success. And then I think for us, that's going to be the goal. The mandate is to build upon that, And I think you look around the room, and we're still a pretty young team. It's great for those guys to experience this. And I want to experience that Game 6 or Game 7 where the pressure's packed, and those are all things I think that naturally your team's just going to improve on just because of that. And it's great for our team, our city, and this organization to have the success it's had this year.
Fully healthy through?
Yeah. Yep.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel lucky about that after that series? It was a physical series.
There's always bumps and bruises, lingering things, but it's part of playoff hockey.
When you're in the middle, especially at Game 2, Period 1, when you guys are in the middle of that, how intense is that? It looked like it was, from where we're sitting, pretty intense.
Yeah, we knew what to expect in that series, starting from Game 1. So, you just have to mentally prepare yourself for the battles and just know that you're going to get hit and receive a hit and give a hit.
What did you see the 2.5 months that Duchesne was here? What did you think of him, and what do you think he thought of players generally can know how guys feel about a team. How do you think that he felt about being with you guys?
I think he loved it. I think he'll be the first person to tell you guys he fit in so well with all the guys right away. As well as his wife, getting along with obviously all the other wives. And, he's a heck of a player. He's played a lot of games in this league, and he stepped up huge, obviously, in the playoffs. So, hopefully he's a guy that wants to be here and sign here.
Is he a guy that, should he stay, that you feel like you could develop some pretty good chemistry playing with him?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely built some good chemistry when we were playing together. So ultimately, it's his decision what he wants to do, but he's a heck of a player and a great person.
I know you're a veteran and you're used to turnover, but there's probably going to be some monumental turnover, and you're going to have to get used to a lot of new, different guys. What's the mindset there for you guys?
It's one of those things where that's above my pay grade.
But especially after you got this close.
Yeah.
How does it feel like, you're going to watch some of these guys go off in different directions?
That's part of the business. Unfortunately, that's the crappy part about it. But we're so close as a team or an organization. We took a lot of huge strides forward this year, and it's that's part of the business, right? So it's ultimately, those guys get to make their own decision. But we know what we have in this room, and we have a winning team and a winning culture. So.
Tim, when you say you were close, are you talking about the camaraderie, or are you talking about being close to getting to the ultimate goal that you wanted to reach?
I think the ultimate goal, we've always had the camaraderie here. That's what I say every year in my exit meetings, how close of a group we are. I did read or listen to Jarmo's comments the other day, and ultimately you want guys that want to be here and love putting on that Blue Jacket sweater and, being in the community and that sort of thing. So that's what we want.
You were cited, and I forget who was it said it, but someone credited you as being one of the real leaders of this team one of the people who foster that camaraderie that you talk about. How far have you come in your own development in terms of that, of being someone who's contributing to that part of the team?
Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of pride in being one of the assistant captains. I think, it was exciting beginning of the year when I got the word that I was going to wear the A, and I take a lot of pride, and so does my family. And I've been here a long time, a lot of bad times, and obviously recently a lot of really good times. So I want to see this thing through, and we're so close. But yeah, I love knowing that guys look up to me, and I love being a leader.
Yarmo's comments there, and just how you want to see this thing through. Do you think over the last 6 or 7 years, guys like you and Nick and some of these guys have really established what it means to be a Blue Jacket? Like, you've established a culture here that is impactful and means something?
I would hope so. I've gone through a lot of coaches, management, a lot of different line mates, players, and there's no doubt in my mind that, especially within the last 5, 6, whatever so years, even before that, there's been a huge culture change for the better. So ultimately, like I said, we want guys that want to be a Blue Jacket. It's a special town. It's a hockey town, as all the fans, the city gathered around us this playoffs. So that's yeah.
It's obviously the player's right when you get to become an unrestricted free agent to choose where you want to go and all that kind of stuff. And we all know that. But when you look at this place, I mean, one of the things that Yarmo did say was, how do you convince them? We have a winning team that's coming up. We have ownership that wants to win. We have all this stuff. How do you, how surprising is it that we're sitting here talking as if this is going to happen, those guys are going to leave? I mean, are you surprised that you would walk away from a situation?
That's a question you have to ask those guys. I mean, everyone's different. I started my career here. I want to finish my career here. I want to raise my family here. Guys have different priorities. So it's ultimately their decision. You only get one crack or a couple cracks to be a free agent. So it's is it going to suck if none of these guys come back? Absolutely, but it is what it is. It's their decision.
The other side of that is, do you feel like this playoff run with the crazy crowds and all that kind of stuff can help you guys even sell this place to other free agents potentially that might be coming?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think we need to go out and tell people how special Columbus is. I think like you said, how the fans showed up as they always have, but especially in playoffs, just a whole nother level. I guarantee not one building out there the fans are like that. So it's very special place here. I love it here. So as I told you guys a million times, I was in that position last year to be a free agent, and I wanted to be here. So, yeah.
You said you heard Yarmo's comments? How'd you
just
come across them? Do you remember?
Social media.
Because the reason I ask is I'm wondering if guys like Matt Duchene and Sergei Bobrovsky and Artemi Panarin have heard this message.
You'd have to ask them, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they have. They're all on social media, so how can you not see or listen? Anything else?
I have another thing for you,
Is there
actually.
something
I wanted to ask you about the open and honest communication that's become a hallmark of this team. Have you been part of teams that have had that much honesty before?
Other than being a pro?
Yes,
Or-
yeah, any team.
I don't know. It's been a crazy year. So, I'm not going to get into any details,
Sure.
but you can write a book about all the things that went down this year. I'm sure, I'm not sure if anyone said anything, but
Just more the fact that you guys could be the culture of being able to be honest with each other,
Yeah.
not specifics per se.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with Torts. It's pretty obvious he's not afraid of, controversy but he's the main reason why if we've had those open conversations, and at the times it is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to have heart-to-heart or open-minded conversations, but when you're done, it's amazing, the weight lifted off your shoulders, and how a team can kind of, come together and believe. It's crazy.
We always heard, towards this or team meeting, did that culture start to exist among you guys just in general, player to player, being able to be very honest with each other?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the players that have to, go out there and battle and fight, for one another and have each other's backs. So, it can trickle down from the top to the players, but ultimately, we have to buy in and come together as a group, and I think we did that.
Do you feel like you made strides this year, personally, as a player from last year, the year before, that kind of thing?
I think so. Listen, I'm never satisfied. So I don't like looking at personal accolades. It was a good year. Put up some good points, but I always think there's room for improvement. It wasn't my best series this past, and I take it's upsetting, but there's always a chance to get better and to learn from it. So it's I think I definitely have taken a lot of great strides and being a leader and not just scoring, but being a leader and like I said before, taking a lot of pride in that and being in the community more and stuff like that.
Cam, do you have a process you go through to analyze a season, or do you just move forward?
There's no specific thing. I like to kind of clear my mind right away. It's easy, the first couple days after a series or when you're done, it's so raw, but in the middle of summer, I'll look at some of the things I did good and some of the things that I obviously need to improve on and work on those things. And ultimately, I like to, try to stay as positive as I can. So I'm not going to dwell on the things really that I could have, should have, would have sort of thing. But I think what drives me is people telling me still what I can and cannot do, and that's why I'm here today.
Cam, I've heard several theories on why you did have a great year. The new stick was one. The whole
Declan. It was all Declan.
Well, in all seriousness, that was one of the theories. Having your deal so far in the rearview mirror was another, and you coming back from injury with a fresh appreciation was another. Do you have any thoughts on why things went so well for you?
Well, I think when I got hurt last year, I think it was pretty obvious I wasn't playing up to my standards, and it just gave me a chance to clear my head and assess my game and watch some video and realize how much I was missing, not only the guys, but just the camaraderie, being in the locker room with the boys, the stories, winning games and contributing on the scoreboard or whatever. And I think it led kind of into summer. I just kind of fell more in love with the game than I ever have, and went to Worlds and had fun there and did some good things, and then had the fire to keep getting better. And I think I had a lot more fun this year. And obviously bringing in a baby is I think it could go either way, but for me he allows me to clear my head, especially after a good game or a bad game, because he doesn't give a crap. It's and ultimately that's all that matters.
Has USA Hockey called you this year yet?
No, not yet, and I don't think they will. Plus, no, I'm tired. I'm on daddy duty now. I'm on daddy duty for next little bit. Yeah, actually, we did just get his passport. I got to show you this picture.
Get the passport.
It's unbelievable.
You got his passport, right?
Today. Well, we went to the post office and I'll show you. Look at that.
Stop it.
Yeah, I'll show you guys.
Look at the hair.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Oh.
I know it's.
Where'd you get the red hair from?
My side of the family, yeah.
Your side of the family?
Yeah,
One of
all
your
my
brothers has
cousins.
red.
My 3 older brothers have
Three?
red. My grandfather had red. All my cousins do. So I got some red in my beard.
You haven't shaved it yet either.
I trimmed it.
Oh, you
I
did?
trimmed it.
But you like it now. It's like the new.
Well, I like looking like I'm, 13 and not 5.
Cam, since I hate to keep you longer, but really cool thing having a 100-year, a 102-year, and a 96-year-old greatest generation vet throughout your playoff run, and to hear the crowd give them the loudest applause of any of the introductions. Just what did you take away from that?
That was a special moment. You know, it's no secret. I give back to, you know, first responders and military, and to have, you know, those guys, it's just humbling. You know, it puts things into perspective, and you know, ultimately it's those guys that put their, you know, lives on the line every single day, and allows us, you know, all of us to live with freedom and play hockey, and you know, it's we owe it all to those guys. So it's pretty cool. I would love to hear those guys' stories, but from the sounds of it, it was, you know, it sounded amazing.
You talked to the last guy. He was incredible.
Yeah, the one that like was the only one who survived in the
ambulance crash. Yeah.
3 Purple Hearts.
Yeah.
He's 96 and you think he's 75.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And his first jump was into Normandy on
Yeah.
D-Day, and he ended up in a tree. Like,
It's crazy.
Healthy? Did you have to battle any injuries?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all good.
Physical series there. I mean, that was one of the more physical ones I can remember. What was that like being in that series, and how tough was it?
It was very physical. You know, both teams, I think their identities were to get to the body, try to wear each other down. Thought we both did a pretty good job of that. A lot of hits in that series, and you know, a lot of forechecking, a lot of down low work, and there's always a body on you, right? There's always weight on you, and always contact around the net. So it was definitely a physical series, but it was a lot of fun.
I know how much you love talking about yourself and your game, but and I'm going to ask anyway. But these playoffs, did you feel like it kind of brought something else out of you, maybe to another level?
I'm not sure. That's probably for you guys to decide more than me. And I just try to go out there every night and be the best player I can be. And individually, I thought I grew in the postseason. You know, obviously, with more postseason appearances, you know, as a player, you grow in those situations. And I love playing under pressure and in those big moments under the lights. And so, I had a lot of fun. And it sucks the way it ended, but individually, I thought I did some good things. Obviously, some things you can always improve on.
What can you take away from a team like Boston? I mean, every season, every playoff series is a learning experience. What do you take away from that group?
Well, I think they had patience throughout the series. I think we let Game 4 really slip away. You know, if you look at the totality of the series, the position we were in heading into Game 4, we could really put a stranglehold on the series, and we ended up taking 6-7 penalties. And to that point, the thing that sticks out for me is their top guys, don't really have a point up until that game, and we give them 2 power play goals, kind of freebies in a way, and that's all they needed to get going. And so that's an important part of a series, is shut down other team's top guys, and I take obviously. Not just as a team, but myself personally, that's always how I judge my game, based on my defense in that game. And they kind of felt it from there on out, and they were tough to stop after.
Seth, you just mentioned how you judge your game. Obviously, you'll take some rest, I assume, but do you have a process you go through to evaluate a season or decide what you want to improve on for next year?
I do. I think I work with some pretty good people in the summer, whether it's on ice or off ice, things I can always get stronger at, get better at. Some things are just hard to do in the summer because it's more game-like stuff that you always look at, whether it's decision-making or just being a little quicker in certain aspects. I thought my year, was up and down at some points in the season. Didn't have my, there's stretches throughout the middle of the season where I wasn't playing my best, and I found myself frustrated a lot. And, I think this year I was just okay at controlling my emotions when it came to that and just moving on from game to game. But for the most part, I thought, my defense was pretty good this year. Obviously, your feet, your skating can always improve, though.
Seth,
World Championships this year, or are you taking the time off?
I don't think so, not at the moment. I had a couple texts yesterday, a couple calls. I'm just stressed right now, but we'll see.
you're one of the guys that said that this was one of the closest teams you were ever a part of.
Yeah.
How difficult is that going to be to duplicate, and how important is it that you try to get that same camaraderie next year?
I don't think it'll be difficult at all to duplicate next year. I think the core we have in the room, I think there's something special, not just the leaders, but the young guys, the way they're developing to be great players. Everyone's team guy in that locker room. Everyone, the way we banded together, throughout this season, throughout the postseason, no one gave us a chance in the first round, and that brings you tighter, brings you closer, and that's the only way we were going to get anything accomplished in the first place was playing for each other and doing the little things to make it successful.
How different will that chemistry be? Because you guys have all mentioned how the Bob and Brett situation brought the team together, galvanized you guys. You're not going to have that situation, but there'll be something else. How will that be able to help you come together next year?
Well, there's always something in a season that you have to go through as a team. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're never not going to have problems in a season. There are going to be stretches where you're losing games and everyone's trying to find answers. It happens every year to every team. And I think, everyone, I have full trust in everyone, as a player on this team and knowing everybody that everyone's going to have great summers. Everyone's going to come back a little bit better at whatever they do and be able to fill that role for our team moving forward.
When you see your defense next year, what some of the young guys did and Gavrikov come in, what do you see?
Oh, I think it's a special decor for sure. You have Zach, who's one of the most offensively skilled defensemen I've ever seen. Obviously I have the opportunity to play with him, every night and watch him. You have Savard, who's just, he comes to the rink every day. He's a true pro. He's definitely a leader on our back end. Blocking shots, just does whatever it takes, one of those players. Gavrikov comes in the postseason, does some great things. Big body, physical, can move his feet, skate. Then you have Kooks, Harry. All these guys can play. They're all competitors, and I think, moving forward, we're all going to continue to grow.
And you could have Murray back.
And Murr, sorry, yeah, I always forget Murr. Murr was huge for us this year. He had one of his best years before he got injured. I think he had like 30 points, right? 29 assists or something like that, and I played with him a little bit this year when I was struggling, and just playing with him, you seem to settle down a little bit. He's got great vision, neutral zone passing. His quick ups are spot on. I PK'd a lot with him this year before he was hurt, and we have good chemistry together as well.
I know you're not a GM and you don't put a roster together, but if you're going to look forward and say, hey, you might lose certain guys or whatever, you want that decor to be real strong, right? I mean, it's a good starting point for a team, wouldn't it be? To have 6 or 7 or 8 guys who can all
for sure.
move the puck.
Steady guys that you can trust in any situation. I think that's what makes the decor special. A lot of guys can play in different situations, whether it's late in the game or PK or power play. I'm excited that we're going to still have, a lot of the same guys in the decor, just because I spend the most time with those guys, whether we're talking about different things between games or between shifts. And, decor, obviously, it's special with those, 7, 8 guys, where they're doing, team dinners on the road and things. Like we do D-dinners and stuff like that sometimes, and it's a lot of fun.
You got a chance to work with Seth, with Brad Shaw. The last couple of years, his name's being kind of bandied about as a head coach. From your experience, what has he brought to you and your group?
Well, he's always finding little things to make you better, and you think it's funny. You think you have one of the best shifts ever in your game, and he'll come back and tell you something that you could have done quicker or done better, and he's always pushing to perfection. Whether it's our decor, our forwards, our penalty kill, it was almost, it's never good enough. But, if you strive for perfection, you end up being great. And I think his teaching was awesome for us. There's a lot of little things in a game where you don't really see or realize that he always sees and realizes. And I think he was great for us, especially how young our decor is and how we're going to continue to learn.
So I feel like this is at a point now where no matter what happens in the offseason, that you probably trust Jarmo that he's going to surround you with talent. But, winning is the expectation here, right, going forward?
Yeah.
For you guys, just like this kind of winning going through? Or
yeah, we don't want to take any steps back.
Yeah.
No. I'm sure you're talking, the Russians leaving or whatever the case is. That's their right. And and we all respect that right that they have. You only get to do this once in your life, and to have that decision is up to you. But we have full faith in Jarmo that we're going to get free agents or whatever the case is. Even if we don't, we have a young core. I think that's hungry to win, hungry to become better. That's all that matters. That's a good starting point.
Seth, you've now been a part of 2 organizations that weren't just deep on the D-Corps, but almost famously so. What does that do for a team?
Well, as you know, I speak for
Besides
our
giving you guys
D-Corps.
great dinners.
Just knowing that you can trust, that our forwards and coaches have trust in us to do our job. We're definitely not going to be perfect. Bob bailed us out a lot. Corpy bailed us out a lot this year. And so, our goal is get the puck up to the forwards and let them do the work. Keep the puck out of our net. At least I can speak for myself in that aspect. The quicker and harder you play defense, the more opportunity you have to play offense, which we all love doing a little bit more in playing D, right? So.
Seth, to that point, particularly in the postseason, you and Zach were just monsters on the transition game, both getting it out of the zone and then into the offensive zone. What went into that? Is that just you guys upping your game? Was there something you guys were seeing, a skill that you think you as a pair possess?
Well, I think our best attributes are anticipating the play offensively. And Zach's probably better at it than me, offensive instincts. And, the way he jumps in the play, the way he sees the ice offensively. He kind of knows where the puck's going before it's there. And so you see him in a lot of rushes up the ice with the puck and creating things offensively. And so we just try to take advantage of what we see out there every shift. We try to dominate every time we're on the ice. That's one of our mottos, our slogans, and Zach has the ability to do that for sure within a game, and I'm there as well to help him along, or just whatever the team really needs that night.
Did you see him making defensive strides this year? I mean, it
Yeah.
seemed like he has come quite a ways.
For sure, he's always had it. He's a big body. He's explosive. He's powerful, and it's nice to see him throw some hits. Get the fight in the postseason. He's got more fights than me now, which we may have to change that next year. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's great to see him. To grow. We've all been there as I've been there as a 19, 20-year-old, and you learn a lot of things quickly, especially as a defenseman. You kind of have to.
Had your exit interview?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. How did you leave it?
It's good, everything. So we are say thank you to each other for the season, and let's see what's going to happen.
Is your mind made up to leave Columbus?
It's too early to answer still. So I will think. I will weigh in all the opportunities what we have on the table, and then we'll decide. So.
Bob, I know there was a lot of ups and downs throughout the whole season, not just for you, but the whole team. The way that this thing went in the playoffs, it sounds like you had a lot of fun, enjoyed it. Will that factor into anything, when you make your decision, the playoffs, and just how fun it was?
Yeah, it was. This season brought some challenges, obviously. So but it's always like that. It's always there. There will be some challenges. It's I think we stay together as a group, against those challenges and rise. And we played pretty good hockey in the playoffs also. So it was, as you say, it was fun to be part of it. It was great.
You haven't shaved yet? Are you gonna keep the beard? Or?
I will. It's okay. Yeah.
Bob, obviously you have a decision to make. What is your message to your teammates when this time together ends?
Well, let's see what's happened first. I obviously had a good relationship with the guys, with the group here. So I've been here 7 years. We had I probably say that already, but we had some tough time together. We had some good time together, and I really appreciate for all the work what we have done together. It was a process. So and it was great to be part of it. Part of this process with my teammates, for sure.
On the ice, Bob, to get that first series win and to go deeper into the season than this organization has ever been before, what did that mean to you to be a part of that?
Yeah, it's big. Obviously, we can't be so like too much happy too because we lost in the second round, you know. But there had some success, and we have to admit that too, you know, that it's we beat Tampa. It's a great team, so it's one of the best team of the regular season, you know, for the whole history. So and it's yeah, we had some success. It's just a development going on and in the right direction, you know. So it's good.
And can you give us an idea of what your process will be between now and the time when you're going to have to make some type of decision on what you want to do?
I will have a good rest first, you know. I want to put all the things because it was a mentally tough season, you know. It's lots and physically was tough season too. So I want to get a good rest before I make any thinking, you know, about my future.
Bob, we keep asking about your future, but are you excited to have the opportunity to pick the perfect place for you going forward?
Yeah, for sure. It's the lifetime, you know, decision. Not everybody has that luxury, and especially I'm only 30 years old. For goalie, it's the prime. I feel great, you know. I had good experience, you know, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward. It's obviously I want to win, but I also want to have a good life for my family, you know, and. Yeah, so I just have to make sure that I make it right, and no rush with that.
What's your top priority in a new contract? What matters to you most?
Well, it's we already talk about future, you know. As I said, I don't want to make
wherever
anything.
You go, the new contract.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't think about that. You know, it's still to give that answer. You have to think. You have to have some, you know, base to go from and to answer that. I haven't think about that at all because of the playoffs, you know, and you play hockey, and now it just happened, and you know, I'm not ready to answer those questions. So.
Bob, when you came here, you were still pretty early in your NHL career, probably trying to make your way a little bit. When you think back on your time here, how much have you grown as a person, as a goalie, and how much do you appreciate, you know, what you were able to do here in those 7 years?
Of course, it's had a huge development here for those 7 years. I became the player who I am right now. I was, as you said, I was young, you know. I was came here young and hungry, you know, for success. I want to be #1 goalie, and I just want to have that job, and so I compete hard, and that process develops you, you know, and it's by a personal, you know, for me. It was a huge process for the whole organization, you know. It was a huge process too. So it's for 7 years. It's lots of time, you know. And as a hockey player, you don't know how much. It's maybe it's half of your career, you know, 7 years. So it's a big time.
You know, I know there was only one series win, but it was against the top team in the NHL. For you to do that with Nick Foligno and Brandon Dubinsky and some of these guys that you came here with, how special was that?
Yeah, that's as I say, it's huge. So we've been together through a tough time, through a good time, and it's nice to have some success. I think it's also good that we make fans happy, you know, with that win. The city was buzzing, so it was fun to be part of it.
Hey, Bob, there's this perception out there, and I don't know what the reality of it is, so I want you to tell me. The perception is that the relationship between you and the Blue Jackets is somewhat fractured. Do you feel that way?
No, I don't feel that way. So it's there were some ups and downs as always in that process, but we say thank you to each other, and it's good.
Well, how's the culture changed here from when you got here 7 years ago to where it is now?
Yeah, it's two different teams, you know. It's when we came again, so we were. If we made the playoffs, we were happy, you know, like I win the Stanley Cup. So now we are losing in the second period, and we still like disappointed. Yeah, we have some success, but we won a cup, you know, we won more, and I think we could, you know. So it speaks a lot.
I know it's early in the process, but how important is an 8-year contract versus 7 for you?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Again, I'm not ready to answer the questions about contract.
You talked about resting. Are you not going to the World Championships, or are you playing for?
No, I'm not. I'm not going.
Do you have any injuries going on all season, or any health?
I had a little bit, but I don't want to discuss about. It's I want to keep him.
Bob, I walked up late. I apologize. How do you plan to spend your summer? I mean, you've got obviously things to think about, but what do you want to? You're a guy that wants to travel the world a little bit. I noticed.
Yeah, I haven't think about plans for the rest even. So you asking me about contract, I haven't think where I gonna go. So yeah, we'll see. I wanna go. Probably gonna go to Maldives for 10 days at least. I love that place because it gives me good rest for the mental. Quiet, nice, quiet, good food. Spend some time with my wife. So just enjoy myself a little bit, relax, and let it go.
You have different. You and the other free agents on this team all have different decisions to make. Have you all ever talked about it with each other about having that decision that you have to weigh this summer? Has that ever been a conversation? You have to intimate details out of that, but I'm saying has that been something you all have bonded over?
No, not really. I think we might in the future, but not really. Again, so we played hockey. It's we were in the playoff run, and we didn't speak. We didn't think much about future. So we'll see.